Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching on a different time zone, good morning or good evening. And that's real for us, at least for the whole panel that I'll be speaking with today or having discussion with today. Just for the purpose of those who are new in this platform or in our show, my name is Marilyn. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited or CTS, and we brand ourselves as Asia's most trusted training and business solutions partner. We create programs and events that adds value and impact for leaders to stay relevant, adapt to the next normal, and ensure the performance of a hybrid team. And our mission is to inspire sustainable transformation by empowering leaders through customized learning solutions that drive outcomes and impact. We have served over 4,500 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony Mobile, Ayala Group, Meralco, Aboitiz Power, Manila Hotel, Brunei Shell, to name a few. And today, it's very special because the panel discussion is really based on the World Health Day 2024. The actual event or the actual celebration was in April 6 or 7. And the theme for this year is My Health, My Right. And this year's theme was chosen to champion the right for everyone everywhere to have access to quality health services, education, and information, as well as drinking water, clean air, good nutrition, quality housing, decent working and environment conditions, and freedom from discrimination. So that's very interesting. And that's why I've also invited a few panelists here who have very diverse experience and who will more or less cover the theme of the World Health Day. And to begin with, I'll be introducing them based on their last name. So let's start with Dr. Parag Agarwal, who has worked with cutting edge technologies and work across sectors and geographies to enable their implementation in India with focus on technology-based solutions in integrated water and waste management, agri-logistics, and post-harvest infrastructure, drinking water and sanitation, and homeland security. Dr. Parag was recently awarded as honorary doctorate for his contribution and impact through social work by the National American University of USA. And his vision is to bring safe drinking water to millions. Hi, Dr. Parag.
Hello, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. And it's such a pleasure and privilege and an honor to be here on the world to celebrate good health and to kind of send out a strong message of why it is indeed a right and not a privilege.
Thank you and welcome. And the next one is Stella Wand. I have interviewed her before, and she's also personally my coach. and She's on a mission to change the attitude of burnout professional around managing stress. She's known as New Zealand's trusted internal conflict resolution expert since ACS. She's an international speaker, global citizen, world class and leading expert in the field of practical solutions for transforming stress. Before starting her own business, Faye worked for 20 years as an international educator and champion of learning and supporting growth in primary, secondary, and tertiary education. Hi, Faye. Nice to see you again.
Hi, good evening. Good evening from the future. It's so nice to be with you again, Marilyn, with you and your guests. And thank you once again for this platform to converge on a really important discussion that also incorporates a conversation around mental health as we're talking about health, because we can't be healthy and well if our mind is not also aligned to health and well being.
Thank you. Thank you for that short introduction and hi. And last but not the least, Hello, Michelle. Michelle brings together her holistic health coaching background and passion for to guide others in their health and wellness journey. She has been coaching in the health and wellness space for 7 years now and specializing in the use of epigenetics in coaching midlife women. Wow, very niche. I love that.
Thank you, Marilyn, for having me here. I'm very passionate about health, and helping other people, guide them into wellness. So it's really a privilege for me to be with Dr. Paragan Faye as well.
Yay, yay. Thank you. So let's get started. I don't think Dr. Alvin Yap will be able to join us today, but nonetheless, Dr. Yap, if you're listening, if you're watching, just join us through your comments or probably inputs through the different channels or social media. And before I start, I would like to invite those who are watching us live or on a replay to please feel free to post your questions, or even share with us your takeaways from this conversation. So to start with, I'd like to ask first, Michelle. Um, you have a very interesting profile as well, and like me, I'm also a mom. And so I'm just curious to know, how do you integrate your background interestingly in interior design into your approach to holistic health coaching?
Well, for most people, they would think that interior design and health coaching are not related at all. They may seem very different, but
Mhm,
actually, both are about design. One is about designing spaces, the other one is designing your life, right?
mhm,
So in interior design, um, normally, like I would consult with the client and help them customize their spaces. In health coaching, I create and customize a personalized program for the client, and it's also very unique for the client in the same way, like when you design a house, a space, it's according to the client's needs, right? So here in the same way in coaching, it's really very personalized because we know there's no one size fits all for everyone.
Oh, I love that answer because, as you know, my company name is Customized Training Solutions, and I'm all about
Yeah.
customizing, right? Again, I agree with you with that statement that there's no like one size fits all, right? We all have our
Yes.
different journeys, our different needs, and different priorities all at the same time, right? And it's interesting, yours is so much on the nutrition, while the next question goes to Dr. Parag because he's more on water. I remembered having this conversation with him when I met him in the conference, right? Like at the end of the day, most of our body is composed of water, right? And so it's very important that the intake for water is also like we're supposed to have that clean water. So can you share with us your insights into the challenges and opportunities in implementing technology-based solutions in water or even on waste management in India?
First of all, thank you for this opportunity once again. I have to. I'd like to focus on drinking water itself
Yes.
and not, talk about waste management at this stage. Otherwise, I'll consume a lot of time. But uh,
Okay.
you touched upon a very fundamental human fact, which is that all of us are 65, if not closer to 70% water. Now,
Mhm.
that is life. That is the fulcrum of everything around us. The clothes we wear are related to are basically consuming water. The cosmetics we use, the footwear we use, just everything, whether it is in manufacturing or it is in services or it is in our own consumption, water is the essence. So it's only unfortunate that the world does not have access to safe drinking water. I think this remains the single largest universal problem in the world that every country in the world is facing, notwithstanding whether it is an underdeveloped, developing, or developed nation. And it's very important to understand that the nature of the beast may be different, but the problem is the same. So
Mm-hmm.
the reasons for their problems could be different, but the problem is the same. And I think the biggest mission that we undertook was to try and bring more and more people under the ambit of safe drinking water in an affordable manner. So,
Mm-hmm.
while affordability is another factor which kind of does not allow people to really understand the depth of the problem. So, if you can go out and afford to buy the $8 a bottle water for yourself, then you don't think there is a water problem because it's always available. But the problem is, what about those communities that cannot afford even $1 for a bottle, that cannot afford even 10 cents for a bottle? Because their earning per day is $3. Now that is where the real challenge lies, and this is the problem that we really tried to overcome. We layered it, or rather, we inserted a layer of technology at the bottom of it, so that
Mm-hmm.
it can reside on that. We can bring more people, like I said, under the ambit of safe water, uh, and make it available and accessible in an affordable and equitable manner. Each of these four words that I have used are of essence. And what we do is we do this in a decentralized manner. So we are basically mitigating the need for pipelines. We are circumventing the role of corroded pipelines that is also contaminating our water by the time it reaches us. So none of that is comes into play. None of the investments that are required to refurbish those come into play, and we are actually going out and building an Uber of water. So that is exactly how we view this. Water at call, water as a service, water for all. That is our mission. I mean, I can keep talking, but I'd like to hand over back to you. There are challenges aplenty, but
Mm-hmm.
we are being able to overcome them, and we are able to cobble our way forward, as I keep saying,
Mm-hmm.
and keep achieving and delivering on ground what we intend to.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And again, like we both agree, just earlier, you and Michelle has been having that conversation around the water challenges that we have. And it's good that you're covering several aspects of those challenges that we are facing. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I next last but not the least, I would say Faye. She has inspired a lot of professionals as well, including when it comes to handling or looking into stress, right? So, what inspired you to transition from being an international education or in the space of international education to being an internal conflict resolution expert? And that's very interesting as well. I mean, internal conflict resolution is not commonly used. So why don't you also share with us what does that mean for you?
Yes, with pleasure. And I just want to say that it really is such a pleasure to be on a platform with such passionate professionals who really have a real mission to make the world a better place through these different lenses that are kind of like blind spots. Like listening to both Michelle and Dr. Parag talk, I actually never considered optimizing health by looking at the element of water, by looking at the element of like the home. So this is very, very enriching. So thank you for that. So I get asked that a lot, Marilyn, so why do you do what you do? And I guess it was a matter of necessity. When I was growing up, when I was a kid or a teenager, and my teacher would ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, I never raised my hand and said, I want to be an internal conflict resolution expert. I mean, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, what the hell is that? But it's a matter of need. I mean, what I did want to be when I was younger is happy, and I wanted to be a teacher. And eventually I went on to become a teacher and to have a really successful and fulfilling career in education for 20 years, international education. But I guess during that time, developing a series of chronic conditions and mental health struggles for which there were no viable solutions, I set out on my own search to find ways that would help to resolve these issues without popping pills and without going to a therapist and going round and round and round in circles, talking about what's not working in my life and how to make it better. Well, actually, I was never really, there was never even a focus in the therapy of, well, how do we make it better? It was just going round in circles, reinforcing what wasn't working in my life and revivifying those really negative emotions and negative experiences.
Mhm.
And so I set out on an inquiry about 16 years ago now into, well, what does it take to be happy, healthy, and well without medication and without talk therapy? And through my journey, I have come to realize that there are many, many aspects to this. You know, yes, stress is a component of it, but it's not really stress that's problematic. You know, like stress, I think has gotten a really, really bad rap. As you remember from our coaching journey together, it's not stress that's problematic. It's actually chronic stress that's problematic. And in this work of internal conflict resolution, what we're doing is we're looking at, well, what is driving internally, driving the body or the mind or the system to produce this prolonged, persistent biology of stress that is creating and locking in these symptoms and these conditions for which there doesn't seem to be any viable solutions, that even medication doesn't shift. And so this is basically what I do in my work. I help professionals resolve that internal battle, resolve the inner turmoil, clear the internal chaos. It's kind of like the internal decluttering, Michelle, like that wonderful feeling that you have when you organize your space. Well, it's the same thing when you organize your internal
Right.
space. You're also able to find things that you didn't realize were there, or you rediscover something hidden, or you didn't realize that there was so much clutter that had piled up. But when it's all done, there's such a sense of freedom and space and lightness that comes with that. And that's the work that I help professionals with. And once you clear that internal chaos and the chronic stress levels are actually moderated or eliminated in most cases, then all the other health variables come online again, because you see, your body knows how to sleep, and your body knows how to digest your food, and your body knows how to secrete immune responses. Your body knows how to how to have a cycle and how to have babies. And when these things aren't happening chronically like they are nowadays, it's because there is an underlying reason that's a little bit like the blind spot that you need to resolve. And once resolved, then your body then lives out the way nature intended it to, and all of these things come online. And again, like Dr. Parag, I could talk about this endlessly and infinitely. It's an area of passion.
Thank you so much, Faye, for sharing with us what does internal conflict resolution means for you. And again, like as you've mentioned, stress is not all negative or not at all
No.
bad for us. Really, it's really so much on chronic stress that really has a bad effect to us, and it's really up to us on how we can handle these challenges or stress that we face, I would say, on a daily basis, right? So and of course, like we're having this conversation not only to understand the journey and where are you are coming from, and it's interesting how diverse the panelists are, in terms of your experience and what you do, but everything actually goes together in terms of how can we actually handle our holistic health, right, in a way. And the good thing about and I would say that's probably the reason why this is the theme as well of the well day, is because we are, we are, the pandemic brought about into our life is us really realizing how important health is, right? And so we will not leave them with all these challenges that we've actually shared with us, but we also wanted to give them some tips, practical tips, and some ideas on how they can actually take a hold of their health and well-being. And so my next question goes to Michelle. What are some practical tips you can offer for individuals seeking to achieve balance in their busy lives?
Well, it's really hard to balance a busy life, right? So I would say, right, because it's always the that search for the balance in life. I would say probably how can we manage our busy lives? So for me, I think in all the literature you'll see that they'll say, okay, know your priorities, but and it's all in all the literature. I'm sure Faye would agree that you need to know what your priorities are first, right? But I just wanted to share a few things in in respect of time. For me, the most important thing is take the time to disconnect from the world.
Mhm.
Most people think that you need a day, a week, months to take a break and just to rest. But actually, all you need is just 5 minutes, a moment of silence, right? It just does wonders for your brain and your body because we're always on the go. Like our society has trained us, okay, you have to do this all the time, you have to be on your phone. But taking just 5 minutes of a break, just closing your eyes, of just being in a moment of silence will actually help regulate your nervous system, and it will help you actually focus better, have make better decisions, and have more energy. Um, Another thing is we need to be more intentional in including movement or exercise in our daily routine. Of course, we've heard that it's good for our health, for cardiovascular health, etc. But it's also a way of taking a break from the busy life,
Mhm.
in a way of self care. I know it's a struggle for most people to start with exercise, like where do I begin and all that. So I'll just give you a quick example. Like my husband's a busy executive. He's a CEO of a company. He actually hits 12 to 13,000 steps every day. Like people would ask, how does he do it? He's just very mindful that after every hour of work, he just gets up, walks along the corridor, or does a steady jog in his office for 10 minutes. That's why he reaches 12, 13,000 steps. So it really depends on what your priorities are. And another thing is ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Be kind and compassionate to yourself. Know when you need help because sometimes we just take on too many things. We get very overwhelmed with things. And sometimes you just don't know how to say no enough. So learn to ask for help. So, like for example, if you want to start on your health journey, obviously ask for health coach. If you want to get better at exercise, invest in a trainer. Um, if you're a homemaker, then maybe you can hire a help to help you with the household chores. And I guess the last tip I would give is prioritize sleep. It's so underrated, but sleep is just important. I think you would notice that if you don't get enough sleep, when you wake up very tired, you actually get cranky. It affects your whole day, your mood. You make poor decisions. You actually binge eat, and you even gain weight. So prioritize sleep because it just helps you, um, make better decisions, have more energy, and more focus on what you have to do over the next during your day.
Oh,
So I
thank you
hope
so.
that helps.
Definitely, definitely. I hope I've summarized it correctly as well. I'm taking notes while you're actually sharing with us all those tips. And again, it's good to know because sometimes some people don't even try to start because they feel that, oh, I don't have time for that, I can't do this, I can't do that, and all those excuses perhaps that we give in to. And again, it's all about prioritizing, as you've mentioned. And it's interesting when you said that, you can actually do disconnect or give some time of silence to yourself in just 5 minutes. And even exercise, when I said I really wanted to exercise, and despite that I get injuries once in a while as well, but I still like do my best. Okay, 10 minutes, or like light exercise. And now I've been actually also joining like here in Singapore, we're actually very lucky that there are like health um like
Right.
sessions. There are exercise that you can do from the community or just around the corner, where you can join Zumba and all those activities, which is good for us. And it's
Yeah.
even for free. Yeah. And again, like it's kind of difficult for me to have enough sleep right now with my two children, two small children who's been still bugging me and asking me to like hug them during sleep. So, but at least, thank you so much for all these practical um, tips that you have shared with us in terms of taking care of our health as well. And so I would like to go next to Dr. Parag. So, how does Jana Jal's mission align with the theme of My Health, My Right for World Health Day?
Well, I think, just in the lighter vein, I want to respond to Michelle. In the lighter
Mhm.
vein, all our life we learned that, when you go home, disconnect from work. And then came COVID that taught us to work from
Yeah.
home. So now we
Yes.
have to even unlearn that and go back to disconnecting when in the house. So it's a constant swing like a pendulum as far as habits
Right.
are concerned. But like I said, that's in the lighter vein. But yes, I mean, Jana Jal, as I touched upon, so just to explain, Jana Jal, Jana in Hindi means people, and Jal means water. So what the brand name stands for is water for people, or people's water. And that itself, within the name itself, stands the right to water as an embedded message, that water must be for people, or people must receive water. And that is or that is what we stand for. That is what we advocate. And there is no good health, I dare say, good water supersedes every other condition that can be attributed to being healthy. I mean, if your water is bad, you can never feel upbeat. You can never, everything starts there. And that is what we are really addressing, the right to water. I mean, we all know that people have right to information, people have right to education, people have right to even parking. But why don't people have the right to water being delivered to them? And I think the problem has become so big that governments have almost given up on trying to solve. They're so, because it's a long-standing problem which needs consistency in solving over the medium or long term. But unfortunately, administrative departments have started to think short term, because
Mhm.
because beyond a point they have to start worrying about how to get back into office, or how to return to office. So there is this conundrum, and that is exactly why we've kind of created a private sector initiative. And I can promise you, it's very difficult for us to stay on the social side, to maintain this empathetic and this whole desire to give back, because we understand that putting the same water in a fancy bottle and putting it and getting a brand ambassador signed up and then selling the same water in the market could be done at 100x the price at which we're trying to deliver it to people. So it's not that we don't understand the other end of the spectrum, but we are clearly resisting and desisting that temptation because of this social value that we bring and we wish to extend to people. So there's a lot of like I said, Janajal stands for good health. There is no good health without water, without good water. There is no smart city without safe water. There is no industrialization without safe water. I mean, find me or name one activity in the world that can happen without access to safe water being fundamentally prevalent. So that is what we're trying to, like I said, change. We're doing this in a very decentralized manner. We are
Mhm.
trying to we work in conjunction with the local administrative departments, because water is primarily a utility that is owned and operated by government departments. So we don't ever want to make them look bad. I mean, the truth is they're doing their best, but it's just not good enough. And the problem is so big that it needs a, what I've always said, a multilateral, multi-pronged, and multi-skilled approach to solve. And that is what we tend to bring in, and we intend to extend. Today we are doing it in India, but we are very hopeful that going forward we'll be able to take this across ASEAN countries as well.
Wow, thank you for sharing that with us. And again, like these kind of challenges that we're facing, from like like safe drinking water to even having like more healthy lives around the globe, and even like similar to cybersecurity and climate change, right? These are very like big challenges that cannot be really handled by just the government alone. Everyone is responsible to be able to actually have that result, right?
Exactly.
Or to
Sorry, allow me to come in, Marilyn, one more time.
Mhm,
There is a social media post that we put out
mhm,
that got the
mhm,
highest amount of likes or response, which said that if your faucet in the house, if your
mhm,
tap is
mhm.
dripping 1 drop per second, in a year you are draining 10,000 liters of water.
Wow.
How many people can even understand or imagine this? So the point, what you've just said, is so true. It is all our collective jobs to come out and save water within our realms, within our periphery, within what
Exactly.
is under our control. And if we can do it, I promise you, the water you save in your house will show up in somebody else's house in another continent, because
Wow.
water is seamless. Water knows no boundaries. Water, there are water tables, they flow seamlessly. And unless we create this holistic thinking, we are never going to be able to really make our, we'll always look towards somebody else to try and solve the problem. Truth be
Exactly.
told, we do our bit, everybody does their bit, there's going to be more water available to the world.
True, true. It's not really so much around well, which a lot of us likes to do, like pointing finger or like depending on government. And again, it's really so much around like what can I do on my own like capacity to be able to help and address all these challenges, because at the end of the day, this again kind of challenges that we face is really everyone's responsibility. The moment you said like, oh, I'm not responsible for that, or uh, I think HR should do that, or I think it depends on our leader. The moment that you do that, it's already like a mindset problem, right? And also it's really like so much about accountability and ownership, in order for every one of us to be really able to like come up with collaborative solutions to really address these big problems that we actually play experience or have globally as well. So thank you for sharing that with us. It's really I would say like from how the Faye and Michelle also reacted with the data that you said, is like wow, it's like an aha moment for us, right? So thank you for sharing that with us. And that leads me to a question for Faye. So can you share with us either a specific example of your program that has helped professionals manage stress and improve resilience, or probably give us like practical tips as well in terms of being able to manage our stress or our internal conflict.
Yes, and I just want to say thanks again for the passionate mission that you're on, Dr. Parag. I think this is such an important conversation, and I guess one that I, for one, have never contemplated. Even living in a country like New Zealand, I know that the water situation that you're talking about is very much here front of mind with what we're experiencing, and 100% we need a sense of self-accountability around all the complex issues that our planet faces. And our planet faces so many complex issues nowadays. And I don't think we can step back anymore and point the finger and say it's not on me, because I think the pandemic showed us how interconnected our lives are and how interconnected our communities are. And what happens in one part of the globe is going to have impact on another part of the globe. And I think transferring that over to the work that I do and the work that I'm so passionate about, it's also like what's happening in one area of your life is going to have a trickle down effect into another area of your life, because nothing is isolated. So when we think about solutions, I think we need to think about very like integrative solutions to these complex issues. And stress has been around since the beginning of time, as we know, and we've been trying to manage stress for as long as we've known about it, but it hasn't produced much success, has it? Like, we all know what we need to do to manage stress, but if you look around you, or you look at your own experience, or those of your colleagues, families, and communities, you'll realize that there are just as much stressed out people as there are solutions for stress. And that begs the question, why? And that was the question, that really, really got me deep into this work. And that's because we're approaching it with the wrong application, because we're looking at stress as a vilifying force without really understanding all the new research about its enhancing qualities and all the ways that it can add fuel to our life. And therefore, not only are we just cutting ourselves off from its enhancing qualities, but we're also not able to get on top of the pressures and the business and the demands of our lives. And we're labeling it as stress when it's not actually stress. So I go back to my earlier point about the importance of eliminating chronic stress and the approach to doing this. So there's three steps, if you will, to my process. And you can think of like each step as a technique. And the first step in eliminating these chronic symptoms and getting on top of these mental health conditions is we've got to support the nervous system. And we're talking about the autonomic nervous system. You're nodding your heads. I know because you are part of my program. I know that you know about this, Michelle. And I know that, somehow across your research, Dr. Parag, you would have come across it as well, because the autonomic nervous system is the engine of our health and our well-being, right? It automates all of our systems and functions. And if that's overloaded, or that's intoxicated, or that's dysregulated, it's going to have a trickle down negative effect into all areas of our lives, because remember, everything is interconnected, right? And COVID showed us that. So supporting the nervous system has got to be a foundational step in how we move forward to deal with the stress pandemic that we're facing. And unfortunately, that's not given enough priority, and it's not given enough a sequential priority in how to approach a recovery approach from chronic conditions. The second step in my process to help professionals overcome poor mental health, exhaustion, and pain involves overcoming the inner turmoil. That's what we were talking about earlier. It's like, what is causing that internal battle? What is causing that internal chaos? What is causing the internal distress? And a lot of times, actually, most of the times, the causes are so hidden, but yet those causes are what's driving the symptoms to remain locked in place. And usually those causes of those symptoms will never be mediated with medication and with talk therapy, because it doesn't work that way, right? So we've got to overcome the internal distress. And then the third step in this process is to eliminate chronic stress. And one of the ways that we do that is through education and empowerment about the new science of stress out of Stanford University that actually educates us on the multiple stress responses that have now been discovered beyond fight, flight, and freeze that actually provide enhancing qualities to our life when we approach them with the appropriate mindset. And when we move away from the way that we've all been hypnotized into believing that stress is harmful. Once upon a time, growing up in the 80s, I used to believe, like many others, that fats were really bad for your health. And so I went on all of these low fat diets, like many people did. And now, looking back, now that I'm in my 50s, many of the health niggles that I am working through have their roots in choices that were made in order to avoid fat, because I thought that fat was bad for you. But now all of the research points to the really health optimizing benefits of fats. And this is what I'm saying about the importance of like educating ourselves about the modern stress responses and the new science of stress that will also aid to help us eliminate chronic stress.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. I mean, I've gone through your program, so I can relate to that. And I can really say that it really works a lot. And but again, it's a continuous journey that we have to
Yes,
go
it's a
through, and
commitment, an ongoing
it's
commitment.
a commitment. Exactly, exactly. In for us to really have that the results that we want, it's really about really having that commitment and continuous journey to actually have that as part of our lives as well. I mean, for us to be able to handle our mental health, our wellness, and our well-being, right, our health, um, in every aspect, and in a holistic way, right? We really have to be able to manage all those aspects of our lives, right? So thank you for all those. And again, this will probably be my last question. And I guess I would say it's also an invitation for all of you to perhaps like share your final advice, or like share like how you can actually promote empower health within individuals through the work that you do. And so this is what I would normally call my Miss Universe question. So Mr. Universe question for you, Dr. Parat, that if you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it? Let me get my magic wand here. Would you like to start, Michelle?
I really thought about this question for a long time, right? So I was thinking, oh, I want to be a Thanos and just eliminate or zap
Mhm.
out all the evil people in the world. But but thinking about it really hard, I just wish that I could, if I would have a magic wand, um, I would want to build more schools. I'm talking about the Philippines because that's where I was born and grew up from. Because it just pains me to see so many school children not being able to have access to education, and not just schools, but also access to, again, safe water, healthy food. It just pains me to see current generation of Filipinos growing up malnourished, and you can see it from the height. You can see it with the way that they analyze things. I mean, the in the recent survey, in the recent tests on comprehension skills, the Philippines was the last. So this is all connected to nutrition, to having access to the right education as well. So yeah, so that's what I would want if I would have a magic wand.
Thank you. At least from the work that you do, somehow you are actually educating people and helping others to take hold of their nutrition and their health, right? Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's actually a challenge for me because majority of the people in the Philippines are poor, so they don't have access to the basic stuff even. So it's really a challenge, and it inspires me to think of ways to be able to be part of the solution. I mean, I do one-on-one coaching now, and every now and then I would have group coaching, but I'm hoping that it creates a ripple effect in what I do, like educating people as well in the right nutrition, the right lifestyle. So yeah.
Thank you, and I really wish that we can actually work together, right? I mean, these are like a common wish. I mean, I've been interviewing for over 2 years, and this is always like one of the common magic wand wish that they wanted to have. How about you, Dr. Parag? What's your answer to the Mr. Universe question?
So I wish I had more than one magic wand because I have more than one wish for the world. But I agree with what Michelle just said. Education is very important, and 100% literacy in the world is what I would dream of. I think literacy creates awareness, and awareness creates has a cascading effect on
Mhm,
everything else. So an educated community is always a great takeaway. But from closer to what I do, bringing more and more people under the ambit of safe water, like I said, I mean,
mhm,
from what we would ever dream of, let's call it from a selfish point of view, is
mhm,
that everybody has access to safe drinking water. I think if that can happen, you have no idea. And I keep saying this, for us, water is not a product, water is a medium. It's a medium of change, it's a medium of growth, it's a medium of prosperity. If a small household, however, maybe it's a daily wage earner that is running that household, if they can get access to safe water at their doorstep,
mhm,
you have no idea how they can prosper, even economically, in their
mhm.
life.
True.
Reducing expenditure on illnesses, not losing money due to absenteeism from work, not having to keep back a girl child. And I'm saying specifically a girl child because it's the girl child that is held back by the household to fetch water every day for the house. The boys are sent to play or to school. So it's a very bad bias that the world needs to really take cognizance of. But I'm just saying all these cascading effects. So we call it a constellation of benefits that safe water delivers. It's not just about selling a product at a price and making a profit.
Mhm,
So to give you an example and to illustrate what I'm saying, $1 invested in our format of water distribution yields a impact ROI of $236 over 5 years. This is quantified. So I'm just saying. So I'm sorry I've gone back into the details, but my magic wand says education for all and safe water for all.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And how about you, Faye?
Well, like Dr. Parag, it's like, where do you start? Do I only get one? My initial instinct was, and this is my bias, my personal bias coming from the Middle East, my initial instinct was peace in the Middle East. And an end to conflict. And when I say an end to conflict, I mean I'm not just talking an end to conflict in the Middle East. I mean I'm talking about end to global conflict, and I'm also talking about the end to global internal conflict, because we know that conflict cannot coexist with peace and calm. Like the two do not go together, and we all are striving for better lives, healthier lives, more equitable lives, lives with more potential, freedom, and opportunity, and all of those are clouded and overshadowed in the presence of conflict. And I guess on a side note to that magic wand question, I would say is to normalize slowing down. I think with this fast pace
Agreed.
lifestyle that most of the world has adopted or is moving quickly to adopt, this is creating such a huge load on our systems that our systems haven't evolved yet to cope with and to deal with. And if all of us, Michelle, I loved what you said when you said that number one tip, which is take 5 minutes to yourself every day. This is a non negotiable, actually, it's a foundational, non negotiable
Yeah.
practice in my life, and one that I prescribe to my clients, because we've got to practice the opposite of what is happening around us that is dysregulating our systems. And so, with everything being as fast paced as it is and continuing to trend in that direction, we need to intentionally cultivate more opportunities and more experiences in our lives to practice doing the opposite in order to slow down the wear and tear that quite literally conflicts our internal systems and gets in the way of us feeling happy, healthy, and well.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I really appreciate all of you. I mean, we're literally saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Where Dr. Parag is in a time zone where it's his morning, Michelle on her afternoon, and Faye on her evening. So we're literally covering that. So I really appreciate you. I mean, I just gave you the invitation last week, and we managed to pull this through together today. So I really appreciate you for taking time to have this
Thank
conversation with me.
you,
And I really
Marilyn.
hope
Thank you
that
so
our
much.
yeah, I really hope that our audience enjoy this conversation and get something out of it. I really hope that, again, my health, my right. It's your right to be healthy, but at the same time, you have to like work on it as well and get that commitment and prioritize. Again, like what Michelle said, you have to be intentional about it as well, right? So I really appreciate all the practical tips, the sharing on, and like the work that everyone here has been doing, not only to educate but also to empower others to take care of their health. Because at the end of the day, we will be able to get to succeed only when we manage our health better, right? So, any other comments before we end this conversation? Comments or final message that you'd like to share? Anyone here?
Well,
Thank you
For
for
something.
the
this
I
opportunity.
just want
Thank you for this opportunity, Marilyn, and for bringing us
mm,
all together and for everything that you continue to do in bringing different voices out to the communities in order to shift thinking and mindset and also to plant seeds of empowering thoughts.
Thank you,
mm,
thank you. It's
yeah,
my
thank
pleasure.
you.
It's been my mission as well to be able to actually put together people to create more impact, because at the end of the day, every one of you shared about education, so this is part of actually gaining more
Mhm.
awareness, educating more people to work on their health, their mindset, and everything else in between, right? So again, thank you so much for your contribution, and as well for your help, your insights, and the practical tips that you have shared within this conversation. So I really appreciate you for that. And again, thank you everyone for watching us, whether on live or on a replay. And please do continue to join us with this journey to create more opportunities for everyone to make this world a better place to live in, right? And again, we can't stress enough how much we actually advocate literacy and empowerment and education, because remember that even the richest investor in this world would say that investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever make in your life. So with that, we would like to thank you and leave you with this quote from Dolly Parton, that if your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Thank you for being my excellent leaders today, Faye, Michelle, and Dr.
Thank
Parag.
you
So
so
thank
much.
you
Thank
and have
you.
a good day, everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank
See you
you. Thank you.
now.
Nice.